unusual. An empty seat at the Super Bowl, impossible. But this man observes that in the row in front of him, there's a woman sitting in an empty seat next to her. And although it's not his business, but his nature is to be inquisitive and curious and nosy. So he asks the woman, "Excuse me, ma'am, but whose seat is this?" She says, it's my husband's seat. He says, "Oh, I'm sorry. It was none of my business to ask. Where is he?" Says, "Isn't he coming?" She says, "No, he passed away." He says, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I knew I shouldn't have been so nosy. Can I just ask you one more question? Didn't any of the relatives want to take his seat?" Says, "Oh no, they all insisted on going to the funeral." And another story. A man is driving down the highway. Driving down the highway, and there's a woman in a car behind him. And suddenly she knows that he's traveling very fast, 80 miles an hour at least. And he goes around the curve, but he can't take the curve. And instead his car falls off an embankment and rolls over and over and over down the hill. And she stops her car to see if she could be helpful, absolutely convinced that this man did not survive. And somehow he crawls out of his, what seems to be his brand new Lamborghini, in a very expensive car, unscathed. But he's screaming and he's crying, "Hi, my new car, my new Lamborghini, $100,000, down the drain." He's screaming, crying, and crying. Totally unaware, it seems, that his life has just been saved from heaven. And the woman says to him, "Sir, why are you crying? You should be so thankful. I saw everything that happened. Your car went off that embankment and rolled and rolled and rolled over. You're lucky you're alive." And he just keeps crying, "Oy vey vey, my Lamborghini, I saved up for it." As we want. And that makes establishing priorities very uncomfortable and sometimes a non-entity period. If you get everything, you don't need to establish priorities. If that's your mindset, I don't have to decide what I want and what I don't want, what is important and what is unimportant, what I appreciate and what I don't appreciate. I'm not focused. I don't really have in my mind a clear-cut concept of what it is that Hashem has given to me. The gifts of life. And in marriage as well, we often don't appreciate that which is in front of us, and we often don't focus on that which we have instead of on what we don't have. And invariably this leads to a lifestyle where the truly crucial areas of life are unfairly shared with less significant ones. The Yehoshua said it best. He said on the Sugya and Sanhedrin of Yehorid Valyavar that one must at times give up his life rather than to transgress on the Gimel Aveirus, Avodah Zarah, Gilui Arayos, and Shvichas Damim, which is learned from a pasuk of Yohavtas Hashem Elokecha v'chol levavcha v'chol nafshecha. You have to show your love for HaKadosh Baruch Hu v'chol nafshecha, afilu noito es nafshecha, even if it means giving up your life at times. For the most part, we don't have to give up our lives, but for these three Aveirus, in certain situations we do. Says the Chidush Yarin, could we possibly darshan, at least from a homiletic point of view, the pasuk of B'chol Levavcha in the same light? Afilu noito es levavcha. Show your love for HaKadosh Baruch Hu, even if it means giving up your heart. B'chol Levavcha afilu noito es levavcha. Even if it means relinquishing on your heart. What is your heart? Your heart is what you love. Your heart is what you are enchanted with. Your heart is what has somehow been penetrated, been impressed. And deep down, and unfortunately, there are so many things that have entered our hearts. It could be that the Mesiras Nefesh of this generation is to give up their hearts. Although in generations past, unfortunately, people had to give up their lives, and we hope and pray that we never face that challenge again. But we face the challenge of relinquishing that which is in our heart, because so much has entered. I want everything. I grew up in America and I speak to myself. I'm enchanted with it all. I want it all. I've gotten it all. I can get it all. It's all mine. And it's very hard to prioritize when a person thinks that everything is his. So what is more important? I don't know. It's all important to me and I could get it all. It's not about a hierarchy of importance. It's about me. It's about everything that's entered my heart. Similarly, he says, Lushiarin, that when Hashem took us out of the Sivilois Mitzrayim, the burdens of Egypt, that Sivilois could be understood as a word that means savlanus, patience. We developed a tremendous patience for Mitzrayim. Mitzrayim, the epitome of abomination, the Toyeva, and Klal Yisrael, the nation of Kedusha and holiness and closest to God. Unfortunately, at times in history, and this was one of them, many, if not most, of Klal Yisrael had developed a tremendous savlanus for all of the abomination. It became part of them. They were enchanted with it. It entered their hearts. They loved it. And when you love something, it's a chelek of you, and it's very hard to get rid of. And it's very hard to prioritize. Because how do I get rid of that part of me, and that part of me, and that? There'll be nothing left. Sivilois Mitzrayim, the patience. A patience kind of like the Israeli gesture for patience, which, if anything, seems to show impatience. Savlanut, they say, with great impatience to show their patience, which makes no sense. And this makes no sense. A savlanus for the Teyeva Mitzrayim, Sivilois Mitzrayim, Moshe savlanus. So here we are with hearts filled with all types of enchantments. How are we to focus? That's part of the problem of our Dor. But if you think of this in the light of what Torah represents, and anyone who has studied Torah knows this, and any student of Gemara understands this, there's something called a shakla v'tarya. There's the give and take of the Gemara, the question and the answer, and the contradiction and the resolution to that contradiction. And everything is put into place ultimately. Not everything, because there are things that we don't understand. But for those aspects of Torah that are subject to the understanding of a human being, at least on some level, through a shachlu v'tarya of a sugya, through a kasha and a teretz and a resolution, we understand this is deraisa, and this is derabonon, and this is lechatchila, and this is b'di'evet, and this is me'ikra din, and this is lifnim mishur sadin, and this is absolutely essential, and this is midas chasidus. This comes before this. Make this bracha first. Shivas aminim before this. If you like it better, then perhaps it's different. You have two mitzvahs to do. Which one comes first? And sugya after sugya after sugya until great complexities with great iyun, with great diligence, can emerge into an actual halacha, a conclusion. And the Gedolei HaPoskim were so great in their ability to bring out of the sugya the clarity of that sugya. Something that we hope and we attempt to do when we learn. But one thing you see, Torah is all about balance. Torah is all about juggling. Torah is all about priorities. Torah is all about focusing. Priority on top of priority on top of priority until you have clearly this applies here. And this is the balance. Whereas in this type of case it's a little different. And hopefully, and I'm not saying this is the purpose of learning Torah, but it certainly is something that we gain in the process. We learn a lesson for life and a lesson for marriage, that it's all about balancing, it's all about priorities, it's all about focus, it's all about clarifying in your own mind what is important to you, and taking the bull by the horn and taking charge and focusing on that which is important. There's little else that precedes the priority of priorities of one's relationship with his spouse and his children. That certainly must be high on the list, if not number one. Perhaps only higher than that is his love and his devotion to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. One's marriage must thrive. His home has to be filled with simcha. Simcha that shows his love and appreciation for his wife, and her love and appreciation for her husband and children, difficult as child rearing can be. But that must be ever present in their minds 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That I am blessed with a wonderful husband, a wonderful wife. I'm blessed with wonderful children. Baruch Hashem, I have this opportunity. This is my focus. This is the love of my life, to be used as a tool, of course, in our dedication to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and the Kiyum HaTorah and its mitzvahs. And that atmosphere must pervade the home. That's what life is all about. Marriage, we know, we've heard, it's about bonding, fusing two people together. Ishta kegufa, ibala